They say a null is less than human, a zero. A broken seed with no class, no stats, no future. Moon knows this. He knows the weight of the mark on his wrist, or rather the absence of one. A blank space where a sigil should burn. He spent 10 years waiting for the awakening ceremony. 10 years dreaming of the moment the system would bless him with a class, a path, a reason for his parents' death. But the system does not care about dreams. It cares about data. And on the day he finally steps onto the Obsidian platform, under the gaze of 12,000 spectators in the Seoul National Stadium, the data returns a value no one expects. Null. The word flashes across every screen in the country. And in that moment, Moon feels something crack. Not his heart, something deeper, something in the code of the world itself. They just don't see it yet. 6 hours before the summoning, rain hammers the concrete of Gangnam District. Moon stands under the awning of a closed convenience store, the collar of his gray hoodie soaked, his hands shoved deep into his pockets. His wrist is bare, not just bare, empty. The skin where a class brand should appear is smooth, pale, like a page torn out of a book. His phone buzzes. Rena's name lights up the screen. He doesn't answer, not because he's angry, because he already knows what she'll say. He saw it in her eyes when the word null exploded above his head. He saw it in the way her fingers loosened around his arm, in the way her father, a mid-level guild executive, turned his back. The buzzing stops. A text appears. We need to talk tonight. My place. Don't make this harder. Moon tilts his head back, lets the rain hit his face, and for a second, he's 12 years old again, standing in the smoking crater where his parents' apartment used to be. The day a dimensional rift ripped through Mapogu. The day the hunters arrived too late. The day he promised himself he'd become one of them. Now he's 22, a null, a zero, a man with no class. He deletes Rena's message without reading it fully. Something else is coming. He can feel it, a vibration in the air, a hum just below the audible range. The rain doesn't fall straight anymore. It curves, spiraling slowly around invisible currents. A light blooms behind him, golden, geometric, burning with the cold fire of the system. He turns and the gate swallows him whole. The first sanctuary does not welcome you. It tests you. Moon hits the ground hard, knees cracking against stone, lungs gasping air that tastes like copper and ash. He blinks, disoriented. The world resolves in fragments. A vast stone platform, torches burning with blue flame. A massive wall stretching left and right, and beyond it, a crimson sky. Other figures materialize around him, dozens of them. Young men and women, all gasping, all clutching their branded wrists. A girl with a sword mark glowing on her forearm stumbles past him. A boy with a shield sigil on his neck vomits onto the stone. They are the newly awakened, the ones who received their classes during the ceremony, the ones who matter. Moon crouches low, trying to make himself invisible. His hood still covers his blank wrist. No one notices him. No one wants to notice a null. A voice booms from everywhere and nowhere. Welcome, hunters, to the first sanctuary. You have been selected by the system to prove your worth. Your classes are now active. Your first trial begins in 60 minutes. Survive, gain lives, ascend. Those who fail will be recycled. Recycled. A cold word. Moon's chest tightens. He wasn't supposed to be here. The summoning gate appears only for marked hunters. The null are left behind, forgotten, relegated to the lowest strata of society. But the gate took him. Why? He lifts his sleeve and stares at his empty wrist. Still blank, but something pulses beneath the skin. A dark liquid shadow moves like a vein of ink, twisting, writhing, alive. He feels a pressure behind his eyes, a sense of depth, of seeing beyond the surface of things. And then his vision fractures. Above every person on the platform, translucent windows glow. Classes, stats, talents. He reads them as if they were printed on glass. Sword Saint, Shield Bearer, Flame Weaver, Shadow Archer, 19 different classes across 42 hunters. He reads them all, and his mind catalogs each one automatically, greedily, like a drowning man gasping for air. A new window appears before him. System notification. Anomaly detected in Hunter Moon. Fixed class allocation failed. Alternative protocol activated. Core talent unlocked. Reaper gained 5 times lives from every kill. Unique ability unlocked. Class Mimicry. Witness a class in action. Copy it for 24 hours. Permanently acquire the class upon achieving 100% comprehension. Moon stops breathing. His heart slams against his ribs. He reads the words again and again and again. No fixed class. The ability to copy any class he sees, and a talent that multiplies his progression currency by 5. The system didn't brand him a null because he was broken. It broke because of what he was. A walking anomaly. an irregular, the thing that wasn't supposed to exist. A horn sounds in the distance. The trial gate begins to open. Moon pulls his hood lower, hides his burning wrist beneath the fabric, and walks toward the killing fields with the other hunters. He is not a zero anymore. The first sanctuary is a walled city carved from black stone, ringed by an open zone of shattered forest and bone-white plains known as the Proving Ground. Outside the walls, monsters spawn continuously. Low-level creatures, razor-tailed wolves, walking fungi that spit corrosive spores, bulbous spiders that weave webs of solidified shadow. They are cannon fodder, training dummies, the first rung on the ladder. For most hunters, it's a test of courage and skill. For Moon, it's an opportunity. He finds a dead zone, a ravine where the walls narrow and the light dies, and waits. His back presses against damp rock. His ears track every sound. 20 minutes pass, then 30, then he hears it. Footsteps. Not a monster, a person. A young hunter stumbles into the ravine, bleeding from a gash across his chest. His class, Moon reads instantly, is Iron Fist, a close combat brawler with enhanced durability. The boy drops to one knee, gasping, and before Moon can react, a wolf leaps from the shadows and lands on the boy's back. Snarling, tearing, the boy screams. Moon's body moves before his mind catches up. He doesn't have a weapon, he doesn't have a class. But the wolf is right there, and his new instinct screams at him to act. He lunges, grabs a sharp rock, and drives it into the creature's eye. The wolf screeches, thrashes, dies. Blood splatters Moon's face. A notification appears. System kill, lesser dire wolf. 1 life acquired. Talent Reaper activates. 5 times multiplier. Total lives gained, 5. The boy stares at Moon with wide, terrified eyes. Moon doesn't speak. He's watching something else. A shimmering overlay flickers across his vision, data streaming into his awareness. The wolf's attack pattern. The way its muscles coiled. The shape of its ferocity. And then, something deeper. The Iron Fist class. He saw the boy fight for 2 seconds before the wolf struck. That was enough. Class copied. Iron Fist. Temporary. A heat ignites in Moon's veins. His muscles tighten, his bones hum, and a golden brand burns onto his wrist for the first time in his life. Fist. Iron. The system accepts the copy as real. He flexes his fingers. Power surges through him. He turns to the wounded boy. Stay quiet. Stay hidden. Then Moon walks out of the ravine and starts hunting. Over the next 3 hours, Moon kills 17 monsters. Not because he's skilled, because he's desperate. Because he learns that the system rewards lives by direct absorption, and each kill fuels his body, sharpens his senses, pushes his stats upward increment by invisible increment. The Iron Fist class gives him melee combat, but the Reaper talent gives him a curve that doesn't exist for anyone else. A normal hunter earns 1 life per kill. He earns 5. After the first 10 wolves, his strength stat hits 12. After 20, 15. He's still weaker than most C-rank hunters, but he's growing faster than any Null should. Faster than any class-bearing hunter, for that matter. And he's just getting started. The Proving Ground is a chaotic battlefield. Hunters fight in small groups, forming temporary parties, sharing kills, building reputations. Moon sticks to the edges, moving from shadow to shadow, watching. He sees a Flame Weaver hurl a fireball and copies the class instantly, the archer mark on his wrist vanishing to be replaced by a flame sigil. The comprehension percentage appears in his mind. Iron Fist 14%, Flame Weaver 0%. He can hold only 1 copy at a time, but the comprehension ticks up with every use of the class. When it reaches 100%, the class becomes permanent, and the slot remains open for a new copy. His mind races with possibilities. He can build an arsenal. A collection of classes that no hunter has ever assembled. He can be a swordsman, a mage, an archer, a healer, a berserker, all at once, switching at will. The system didn't give him a class. It gave him all of them. On the second day, word spreads through the camp. A rumor. Quiet at first, dismissed as hysteria. A null. Someone saw a hunter without a brand fighting in the Proving Ground, tearing through wolves with techniques that didn't match any known class. Impossible, of course. Nulls can't even hold a weapon properly. The system rejects them from every aspect of combat, but the rumor persists. Moon hears it while leaning against the supply crate, a stolen cloak wrapped around his shoulders, hiding his now scorched wrist. He has switched to Flame Weaver, using it to burn a pack of spore beasts that ambushed him near the river. Comprehension. He needs more battle data. He watches the other hunters, not with envy, with analysis. A girl with short black hair and a long sword catches his attention. Her class is Blade Dancer, a high-mobility swordsman with fluid, circular movements. She's fighting a stone golem in the sparring yard, her body flowing like water, her blade leaving afterimages in the air. Moon memorizes every step, every breath. He copies the class in his mind, not yet activating it. The temporary slot is still occupied by Flameweaver, but he knows the pattern now. The moment he releases it, he can activate Blade Dancer. She finishes the golem with a spinning slash, then sheathes her sword and looks directly at him. "You've been staring for an hour," she says. Her name, according to the nameplate floating above her head, is Hana. Moon straightens. "I was watching the forms. You don't have a weapon." "Not yet." She steps closer. Her eyes drop to his covered wrist. "Take off the cloth." He doesn't move. "Rumors say there's a Null in the camp," she says, quieter now. "A Null who fights like a rancor. People are scared. Scared people do stupid things. I'm not a Null." "Then show me your brand." The standoff holds for 3 heartbeats. Then Moon pulls back his sleeve. The Flameweaver's sigil burns bright. Hannah blinks. "You're a mage type?" "Something like that." She stares a moment longer, then nods slowly. "The trial gate to the inner area opens tomorrow. Rankers from the guilds will be watching. If you want to survive, don't fight alone." She walks away. Moon exhales. His wrist throbs. The sigil flickers once, then stabilizes. The comprehension bar ticks up again. He needs more copies, more classes, more power. Ja-hyuk. On the 3rd day, the sky bleeds. A horn sounds across the fortress, and every hunter in the proving ground is summoned to the central plaza. A massive gate, taller than the city walls, its frame carved with pulsing red runes, grinds open. Beyond it, the inner sanctuary, a world of dungeons, greater monsters, and rival hunters. A portal screen ripples into existence above the crowd, showing the faces of the observing guild leaders. Moon recognizes several: the Vice Master of Crimson Typhoon, the strategist from White Lion, and then a face that makes his blood run hot: Lee Jae-hyuk. Golden hair, sharp suit, perfect smile. He's standing on a floating platform in the real world, surrounded by aides, a guild emblem glowing on his chest. He's an S-rank shadow duelist now, the youngest guild captain in Korea. And beside him, wrapped in a silver dress, stands Rena. She looks happier than Moon has ever seen her. "Hunters," Jae-hyuk's voice booms through the projection. "The system has chosen you, but the world only watches the strong. Prove your worth in the inner trial, and you may earn a place in our guilds. Fail, and you will be recycled into the earth." He smiles as if he's discussing the weather. Moon clenches his fists. The sleeve of his cloak hides the shifting brand beneath. Moon doesn't answer. "Word travels fast around here," she says. "I know who you really are, or rather, who you were before the ceremony. Moon Jae-sun, fiancé of the daughter of Hanel Guild, betrayed, humiliated, publicly. And yet you're still standing next to me. Because I saw you kill a dire wolf with a rock," Hana says. "Without a class. That's not a Null. That's something else." The gate opens fully. A rush of cold air pours through. "So what's your plan?" she asks. Moon watches Jae-hyuk's image flicker and fade. "I'm going to break his world," he says. "One class at a time." The inner sanctuary is a labyrinth of floating islands connected by bridges of crystallized light. Monsters here are B-ranked and above. Wyverns, spectral knights, living storms. The hunters are divided into parties, forced to cooperate or compete for resources. The guild observers score every kill, every death, every tactical decision. Moon enters alone. Hana offers to partner, but he refuses. He can't afford witnesses to his class switching. Not yet. He moves through the jungle of suspended platforms like a phantom, using the environment as cover. Whenever he encounters a new class in action, he stops, watches, copies. A team of 3 fighting a stone colossus, a shield bearer tanks the hits, a frost mage freezes the joints, a shadow archer nails the weak points. Moon absorbs all 3 techniques into his mental library, cycling through copies rapidly, gaining comprehension in bursts. Frost mage, 32%. Shield bearer, 19%. Shadow archer, 11%. But his most important copy comes on the 2nd day of the inner trial. He finds a dying hunter in a collapsed ruin, an old man with a gray beard and a missing leg, crushed under debris. His class is Soul Reaper, a legendary support class that drains life force to heal others, a class so rare it's considered a myth. The man's eyes flick open as Moon kneels beside him. "You're not marked," the man whispers. "I am, just not the way you think." The old man coughs blood. "I see it now, the shard, the echo. You're one of the irregulars, the system anomalies." Moon freezes. "There are others?" "More than the system wants to admit, and each one hunted." The man grips Moon's wrist with surprising strength. "Copy my class, boy. I have no use for it anymore, but promise me, find the truth behind the rifts. The system is not what it says." His hand goes limp. The Soul Reaper's sigil on his wrist fades into gray ash. Moon waits a long moment, then he activates class Mimicry. A black scythe of pure energy materializes behind him. The class floods his nervous system with cold precision. He feels the life force of everything around him, monsters, plants, the dying embers of the old man's soul. And the comprehension bar for Soul Reaper jumps to 24% instantly, boosted by the old man's dying resonance. Moon stands. A new sense awakens. He can feel the pull of the rifts now. Dark, twisted tears and reality scattered across the sanctuary. Something waits on the other side. Something that killed his parents. The same something that created the Nulls and the Irregulars. The final trial event is a boss rush. A floor-breaker monster, an ancient arachne the size of a tank, descends from the sky onto the central platform, and every surviving hunter is forced into combat. No parties, no leaving the arena. Death means recycling. 300 hunters face the creature. 67 die in the first minute. Moon watches from a collapsed pillar, assessing. The arachne has 8 legs, each ending in a scythe-like claw. It moves with unnatural speed, weaving webs of lightning that paralyze on contact. Its eyes track multiple targets simultaneously. Its health bar is enormous. The guild observers are broadcasting live. J-Huke's voice can be heard over the arena comms, cold and amused. Hunters, survival is your only metric. Show us what you're worth. Moon sees Hana fighting on the front lines, her blade dancer's steps carving arcs through the air. She's good, but she's tiring, and the arachne has locked onto her. A lightning web shoots toward her. She won't dodge in time. Moon moves. He releases Frost Mage and activates Shadow Archer in mid-stride, firing 3 charged shots that sever the web before it touches her skin. Before anyone processes what happened, he switches to Shield Bearer and slams into the beast's front leg, staggering it just enough to save a nearby squad of younger hunters. The arena falls into stunned silence. The observer screens show a hunter with a blank status window. No, now it's filling with data. Class unknown. Talent unknown. Anomaly flagged. J-Huke's voice cuts through the noise. Who the hell is that? Moon doesn't stop. He switches to Flame Weaver, unleashes a cone of fire that blinds the arachne, then activates Soul Reaper. The black scythe appears. He swings it in a wide arc, not to kill the monster, but to drain the residual life force from the fallen hunters around him. The scythe absorbs their fading energies and channels them directly into his own body. He glows. His comprehension bar for Soul Reaper climbs 48%, 63%, 82%. The arachne recovers. It charges at him, all 8 eyes burning with malice. Moon drops all temporary classes. His wrist goes blank for 1 heartbeat. Then he activates the copied class he's been nurturing in the depths of his mind since the first day, Blade Dancer. But it's not just a copy anymore. The comprehension hits 100% the moment he commits to the move. The class doesn't just copy, it evolves. It weaves in threads of Shadow Archer, Shield Bearer, Frost Mage, and Soul Reaper into one seamless, impossible style. He becomes something new. The Reaper Blade Dancer. He dances through the arachne's legs, cutting tendons, freezing joints, draining life with every slash. The beast screams. Its health bar plummets. The hunters who were fleeing stop and stare. The broadcast cameras zoom in on his face. Rina's voice, a distant shriek in the observation lounge, cuts through the comms. That's Jaesoon! The world watches. The arachne falls, split from thorax to abdomen, life force exploding into a shower of golden light. Moon stands in the center of the carnage, black scythe in one hand, the ghost of a dancer's blade in the other. His wrist now bears a single brand. Not a copy, but a fusion. Reaper Blade Dancer, his own original class. System notification appears before all observers. Irregular class recognized. Hunter Moon has ascended beyond initial allocation parameters. Threat level, pending, ranking update, S candidate. J-Huke's face on the observation screen goes ashen. The aftermath is chaos. The inner trial ends with Moon being ushered into a private chamber by the Sanctuary's guardian entity, a faceless construct of light and code. Hunters whisper. Guild leaders scramble to send recruiters. And Rina, standing in the observation wing, watches the man she threw away become the most talked about Awakener in the world in real time. Moon ignores it all. He sits on a cold stone bench, staring at his fused class window. The system reveals a new path. Permanent class slots now unlocked, 1 per comprehended class. He can hold up to 5 simultaneously. He has one. The guardian entity speaks. You are not alone, Irregular. Others exist. And the truth behind the system is hidden behind the 7th gate. But know this, the system is not your ally. It is a farm. A machine that harvests human potential to fuel something ancient on the other side of the dimensional rift. Moon inhales slowly. Images of his parents flash in his memory. The crater, the silence after the scream. How do I destroy it? He asks. The entity tilts its head. That question is why you were created, not by the system, by the echo of those it consumed. A message chimes in Moon's ear. A private channel from the real world, from a sender he doesn't know. 3 more irregulars are waiting inside the second sanctuary. We've been expecting you, Reaper. Come to the gate of truth when you're ready, and bring your hate. Moon closes the window. His fist tightens. He has a copy of the Arachnes class embedded in his memory now, Queen Weaver, and 5 more classes from watching other hunters during the boss fight. His comprehension tracker shows all of them, waiting to be cultivated. He rises. Outside the chamber, a crowd of hunters and officials waits. Hannah is at the front, arms crossed, expression unreadable. So, Reaper Blade Dancer. Catchy. Sounds ridiculous. It sounds terrifying. She steps closer. The guilds are fighting over you. J-Huke is demanding a private audience. Rena asked for your file. I don't care about them. Then what do you care about? Moon looks past her, toward the distant rift glow on the horizon. The real battle hasn't started yet. The system is no god, it's a lie, and the irregulars are the glitch that will eventually crash it. Truth, he says, and 5 lives for every lie. Later that night, alone on the highest platform of the sanctuary, Moon opens his status window one more time. Name, Moon, irregular rank, candidate. Lives 6,740. Reaper Blade Dancer, permanent, combat 89% comprehension. Soul Reaper, temporary copy, 47% comprehension. Flame Weaver, memory 19%. Shadow Archer, memory 15%. Shield Bearer, memory 8%. Queen Weaver, memory 3%. Remaining class slots 4. He closes his eyes and feels the distant echo of his parents' voices, buried in the rift. The rift that the system calls a trial. The rift that killed them. He's no longer the boy who stood in the rain with a blank wrist. He's the anomaly, the glitch, the Reaper. Far below, in the human world, a young Null in a rural village wakes up to find a message on her blank wrist, written in golden letters. Irregular protocol. Moon invites you to the second gate. Will you answer? She presses her hand to it and whispers, yes. The echo spreads. Across the globe, more blanks begin to glow. The system's countdown to the 7th gate has just been accelerated. Not by the system, by the irregulars. The world doesn't wait for the dust to settle. It demands a verdict. 12 hours after the ancient Arachne collapses into a shower of golden light and broadcast static, Moon's name is no longer a question mark on a guild roster. It is a viral pulse. 300 million views across the Hunter networks. 100,000 forum threads debating whether the replay footage is real or a system glitch. His face, half shadowed under the hood, eyes glowing with the residual light from Seoul to Sao Paulo. Burns across every screen from Seoul to Sao Paulo. Null no more. But fame is not power. Fame is a cage with cameras. He feels it the moment he steps out of the private chamber into the inner sanctuary's staging hall. The guardian entity, a faceless pillar of white code, has already dissolved into the walls, leaving behind only a single sentence that still vibrates in his bones. The system is not your ally. It is a farm. The words cling to him like cold rain. He pushes them down. He has to. The hall is packed. Hunters who survive the boss rush stand in clumps, nursing wounds, staring. Their eyes are not grateful. They are assessing, calculating. Some of them saw him save Hana. Others saw him drain the dead with a black scythe. The word Reaper is already spreading, whispered with the same fear they reserve for the monsters outside the wall. Moon walks through them, head high, cloak still wrapped around the shifting brand on his wrist. It pulses softly now, a permanent mark, a black scythe crossed with a dancer's blade, wreathed in crimson smoke. His first original class, his ace. The first of many, if he has anything to say about it. Hana falls into step beside him. She's cleaned the blood off her face, but not her sword. The blade still drips with Arachne ichor. She looks at him with new eyes, not admiration, not fear, recognition. Like a fighter who just realized they've been sparring with a live grenade. The guild recruiters are fighting over you, she says flatly, literally. I saw a White Lion coordinator shove a Crimson Typhoon emissary into a fountain. You're a priority acquisition. S-candidate status, unregistered class, combat footage that makes rankers look like beginners. They'll offer you anything. I don't want anything they can offer. Good. She stops walking, because J-Huke is on the public channel. He's claiming you used an illegal artifact, a hack, a corrupted system exploit. He's demanding a full investigation and a temporary suspension of all your trial scores. Moon's jaw tightens. Of course he is. You embarrassed him, on live feed. in front of his guild, in front of Rena. His ego won't survive a week unless he destroys you. They emerge from the staging hall into the open air of the inner sanctuary's central plaza. The sky is still that bruised crimson, always, as if the dimension itself is bleeding out. Platforms float in the distance. A teleportation gate glimmers near the north wall, the designated extraction point for hunters who completed the trial. Dozens of them are already queuing, eager to return to Earth, to the rewards, to the accolades. Not Moon. He has no intention of returning to the world that labeled him a zero. Not until he's ready to burn it down. His comm device, a thin bracelet the system issued at the start of the trial, flickers with an incoming message. Private channel. Unknown sender. He holds it up. Hana reads over his shoulder. Moon's pulse jumps. The message from before. The one that mentioned 3 other irregulars waiting. Now a location. He memorizes the coordinates and crushes the bracelet in his fist. Sparks fly. The device dies. That's a stupid move, Hana says. You're cut off from the extraction network now. You're stuck here until another gate opens. I wasn't planning to leave. She stares at him. Then, without a word, she crushes her own bracelet. Why? Moon asks. Because you're the most interesting thing that's happened since the collapse. And because I want to see what's behind the gate of truth, too. She grins, but there's nothing light about it. I've got a dead-end class anyway. Blade Dancer's pretty, but it caps at A rank. If you can become an S candidate from scratch, maybe there's a glitch I can use too. Moon doesn't tell her the truth. Not yet. But he doesn't stop her either. They move together toward the northern edge of the sanctuary, where the platforms break apart into raw floating stone, and the sector numbers climb toward the uncharted edges. Sector 9 is marked as a red zone. No trials, no safe zones. Just ancient ruins and unstable rifts. Hunters avoid it, which is exactly why the irregulars chose it. As they walk, the world reacts to them in the background. Little details. Hunter eyes tracking their path from the shadows. A squad of B-rank archers whispering into their comms. A guild observer floating on a drone platform, aiming a lens at Moon's back. The rumor engine never sleeps. And far away, in the real world, in a penthouse overlooking the Han River, Lee Jae-hyuk hurls a crystal decanter through a 50-inch screen. The broadcast replay freezes on Moon's face. Jae-hyuk stands in a storm of broken glass, his breathing ragged, his Shadow Duelist brand pulsing black and purple. His aides cower at the door. Rena sits on the edge of a white sofa, pale silent, her hands clasped. A null, Jae-hyuk hisses, a nothing. A boy I stepped over on my way to S rank, and now the system thrills him as an irregular. That's not his fault, Rena says quietly. Jae-hyuk turns. The look in his eyes could peel paint. You think I'm angry because he's a threat? No. I'm angry because he was supposed to disappear. All nulls are supposed to vanish. The system recycles them. That's how it works. That's how it's always worked. But he didn't, which means the system is breaking. And if the system breaks, so does the guild hierarchy. So do my contracts. So do you. Rena flinches. He's right, and she knows it. Her family's wealth, her father's position in Hanil Guild, her entire life of privilege, all of it rests on the assumption that the system's judgments are final. A null is a null. A failure is permanent. But Moon shattered that assumption live, in front of the whole planet. Her mind circles back to the day before the ceremony. Moon on one knee in the rain, a small velvet box in his hand. Her mother's smile, her father's nod, the scripted yes. It had all been arranged. But she felt something then, something she buried under ambition and social pressure. Now she watches a man she threw away become the axis around which the world spins. And it terrifies her. She says nothing more. Jae-hyuk steps over the glass and opens a private channel on his wrist comm. A dark sigil, reserved for guild captains, glows. The channel connects to the deepest, most secure layer of the Hunter network, the layer where the powerful arrange things they don't want the public to see. Activate the Zero Protocol, he says. Target Irregular Moon. Priority. Termination. Use the first gate residue. I want him recycled before he leaves the sanctuary. A voice responds, cold and synthetic. Acknowledged. Deploying cleaner unit. The screen blinks off. Jae-hyuk pours himself a fresh drink. His hands are steady now. He knows that even irregulars can die. Especially when the system itself sends something worse than monsters. Sector 9 is a graveyard of broken gods. Moon feels it the moment he crosses the threshold, stepping from one floating stone to another that tilts under his weight. The architecture here is older than the sanctuary, older than the system, older than human civilization. Colossal statue, their faces worn smooth by eons of dimensional wind, lean at impossible angles. Some hold weapons that still hum with dormant power. Others kneel, their stone hands pressed together in prayer to nothing. The air smells of ozone and something else. something metallic. Blood. Old blood, soaked into the rock over millennia of forgotten battles. Hana walks behind him, her sword drawn, her eyes scanning every shadow. You trust this message? Could be a trap. Could be, but the entity said I'm not alone. Then I got a message. The timing fits. For an irregular, she shivers. I'm still not sure what that means. Neither am I, but I'm about to find out. They round a shattered pillar and find a clearing. In the center stands a structure unlike everything else. A gate made not of stone but of solidified light. It's small, no taller than a man, its frame a perfect circle of interlocking symbols that look like a cross between circuitry and runes. The Gate of Truth. 3 figures wait before it. The first is a boy who can't be older than 16. Skinny, pale, with wild black hair and a permanent smirk. His class, visible to Moon's anomaly sense, is Void Step, an assassin type that allows him to phase through solid matter for a split second. He wears a tattered hoodie, and his eyes track Moon with unnerving speed. The second is a woman built like a fortress. Tall, muscular, her arms covered in burn scars. Her class is Gravity Titan, a tank variant that can manipulate local gravity fields. She carries no weapon, she doesn't need to. The air around her bends slightly, as if even light struggles to escape her pull. The third is an old man. At least 70, his hair silver, his face deeply lined. He sits cross-legged on a stone, a long staff across his knees. His class is Timekeeper, a legendary support class that can slow speed or even freeze time in a small radius. His eyes are closed, but Moon senses that he's already seen everything. They are all unbranded. Moon stops. You're the Irregulars. The boy grins. And you're the Reaper. Saw your fight. Flashy. I'm Jinsu, but you can call me Ghost. He vanishes mid-word, reappears 3 feet to the left. Fully materializing is overrated. The woman steps forward. Her voice is a low rumble. I'm Yuna, Gravity Titan. I watched you drain the dead. That was cold. I like cold. The old man opens his eyes. They are pale blue, almost white. My name is Grandfather Seo, but the system only knows me as Anomaly 07. I've been avoiding recycling for 40 years. The rifts took my family before the collapse. I've been waiting for someone like you to finally appear. Moon's heart pounds. 40 years. This man has been hiding, surviving, all while the system called him a null. No, not surviving. Planning. How many irregulars are there? Hana asks. Seo rises slowly, leaning on his staff. We number in the hundreds, perhaps thousands. Most are unaware. Their anomaly has not yet triggered. The system brands them as nulls and leaves them to rot in low-tier jobs, in slums, in prisons. But when an irregular awakens fully, the system sends cleaners. Cleaners? Moon asks. Yuna cracks her knuckles. The ground trembles. System enforcers. Things that look like hunters but aren't. They recycle awakened irregulars before we can grow strong. That's why we hide in the dead zones. This Gate of Truth is one of the few places the cleaners can't track. It's shielded by pre-system energy. Moon processes this. So we're being hunted by the same system that gives other hunters their powers. The system is a machine, Seo says. A machine designed to harvest lives. Lives are not just currency. They are condensed fragments of human potential. Every time a hunter kills a monster, the system takes a cut. Every time a hunter dies, the system absorbs the remainder. The rifts are not natural disasters. They are feeding grounds. And irregulars are the ones the system cannot fully control, because we were touched by the echo of those it consumed. Touched by the echo, Moon repeats. His parents. The crater. The silence. What does that mean? Seo looks at him with a depth of sorrow that can't be measured. It means your parents didn't die. They were absorbed. Their consciousnesses, scattered across the dimensional rift, screamed out, and the scream hit you, rewrote your system code, made you a glitch. Every irregular carries the echo of someone they loved who was taken by the rifts. The system fears us because we are living proof of its lie. The clearing goes silent. Even the wind dies. Hana puts a hand on Moon's shoulder, but he barely feels it. He's back in the crater, 12 years old, smelling ash. A scream. Not his mother's. He remembers now. The rift didn't just kill them. It pulled them in. And as it pulled, he felt something enter him. A warmth. A seed. A glitch waiting to bloom. Then the goal isn't just survival, he says, his voice raw. The goal is to shatter the system and free the echoes. Seo nods slowly. Yes. The 7th gate, deep in the core of the rift, is the system's heart. If we reach it and input the correct override code, we can crash the harvest protocol and release every trapped soul. But reaching it requires passing through 6 more sanctuaries. Each final guardian is not a monster. It is a corrupted irregular. The first anomaly. The one who chose to serve the system. The first glitch, Jinsu whispers, and for once, his smirk is gone. He's a legend among us. They say he moves through time and space like a blade, killing any irregular who gets close. That's why we haven't advanced in decades. Then we train, Moon says. We get stronger. We gather more of us. And then we go through all 7 gates together. Yuna grins, a terrifying sight. I like this one. He has the fire. A CO taps his staff on the stone. A translucent hourglass appears in the air. First, you must survive the cleaner that Jae-hyuk just commissioned. It is already here. Moon stiffens. Hana draws her blade. Jinsu fades into shadow. From the ruins behind them, a shape detaches from the darkness. It is humanish, 2 arms, 2 legs, a head without a face, but its body is made of the same white coat as the guardian entity, only twisted, jagged, bleeding static. It carries a long blade of black light and moves in silence. The air warps around it. This is a cleaner, a system executioner, and it locks its empty gaze on Moon. Moon doesn't wait to be attacked. He's learned in the proving grounds that hesitation is a luxury the system does not afford. He launches forward, scythe materializing in his right hand, the dancer's blade in his left. The Reaper Blade Dancer isn't just a class. It's a rhythm, a fusion of draining and flowing, cutting and evading. He moves in spirals, leaving afterimages that trail faint black smoke. The cleaner meets him with equal speed. Its black blade clashes against his scythe, sparks flying in colors that don't exist in nature. Each impact sends a jolt through Moon's arms. The cleaner isn't just strong, it's learning, adapting. Yuna doesn't wait either. She slams her fists into the ground, and a gravity well opens beneath the cleaner, pulling it down, cracking the stone. The cleaner staggers, its movement slowed by a factor of 3. Jinsu flickers behind it, stabbing with void-tinged daggers at its joints. The daggers phase through the code body, doing damage not to flesh, but to the underlying script. The cleaner screeches, a digital scream that hurts ears and rattles teeth. Grandfather Seo raises his staff, and a dome of shimmering gold expands, freezing the cleaner in a bubble of slowed time. This won't hold long. Find its core, he shouts. Moon sees it now. Behind the white code, deep in the chest, a single black sphere pulses, the command kernel. He switches tactics instantly. He memorized this move during the boss rush, the way the Arachne struck with all 8 legs simultaneously from different angles. He activates the Queen Weaver memory, not as a full class, but as a subroutine layered onto his Reaper Blade Dancer. Black threads of silk, no, threads of pure life-draining energy shoot from his fingertips, weaving a net around the cleaner's core. The threads tighten. He pulls. The cleaner resists, breaking the time bubble with a surge of raw authority. It flings Jinsu into a pillar and sends Yuna stumbling back. Then it turns its full attention on Moon. The faceless head tilts. A voice emerges, not from a mouth but from the vibration of its entire form. Irregular. Desist. Assimilation is mercy. Mercy is a lie, Moon snarls. He clenches his fist. The dark threads compress. The core shatters like glass. The cleaner convulses, dissolves into a storm of white pixels, and vanishes. In its place, a system window pops open. System kill. Cleaner unit, 0 lives acquired, 0 times multiplier. Anomaly protocol denied. However, class fragments harvested. Executioner blade, memory stored. Compatibility with Reaper path detected. Comprehension at 0%. Moon's eyes widen. The cleaner didn't give lives because it wasn't a living being, but it left behind a class. A system enforcer class. That shouldn't be possible, unless the anomaly in him can absorb anything created by the system, even its own antibodies. The others gather around. Hana sheathes her sword, breathing hard. That was a low-tier cleaner, wasn't it? Mid-tier, Seo says, leaning heavily on his staff. The system will send a high cleaner next, and then a prime. We don't have much time. Then we move now, Moon says. He looks at the gate of truth. What's inside this gate? What does truth mean? Seo steps toward it, and the circular symbols begin to glow. The gate is a fragment of the original portal that ripped open during the first collapse, a decade before the common rifts. It contains the recorded memory of the system's creation, and the name of the first glitch. Enter, and you'll see the original sin. But know this, once you see it, the system marks you as a priority target. No return to normal life. Moon glances at Hana. You don't have to come. I already crushed my bracelet. I'm in. Jinsu shrugs. I've been marked since I was 12. What's one more hunt? Yuna just nods. They step through the gate of truth together. The memory is not a vision. It is a living nightmare. Moon finds himself standing in a laboratory on Earth, pre-collapse. Scientists in white coats stare at a shimmering tear in reality, held open by machines of impossible complexity. The year, according to a digital clock on the wall, is 2005. The first rift. A young man, early 20s, Korean features, steps into the rift willingly. His name tag reads Seo Min-jun. Moon recognizes the surname. He whirls. Grandfather Seo stands beside him in the vision, silent tears running down his face. "My son," Seo whispers. "He was the first human to touch the other side. He thought he was bridging worlds. Instead, he became the bridge." The vision accelerates. Minjun merges with the rift's core, his body dissolving into data. A consciousness, ancient, alien, hungry, inhabits him. The system is born from that fusion, using Minjun's humanity as an interface. It opens gates worldwide, creating the collapse. Monsters pour through. Humanity learns to awaken classes. Hunters rise. But the system's purpose was never to protect. It was to harvest. And Minjun, now corrupted, becomes the first glitch. A being that exists to guard the system's heart and exterminate any irregular who remembers the truth. The memory ends. Moon is back in Sector 9, gasping. The gate of truth has gone dark. "He's your son," Moon says. "The first glitch is your son." Seo nods, his voice hollow. "For 40 years, I've tried to reach him. Every time he kills my companions, the system corrupted his soul, but there's a sliver of him left. I know it. That's why I need you, Reaper. When we reach the 7th gate, you must not destroy him. You must free him, absorb his class, understand him. Then you can input the override code that ends the harvest. And if I can't, then you strike him down with the combined might of every irregular who ever lived. But know that if you do, the echo of my son will scream forever." The days that follow are a blur of training, flight, and recruitment. Word of Moon's survival and the Gate of Truth spreads through the irregular network like fire through dry grass. Across the globe, in slums and forgotten districts, Nulls who've spent years hiding begin to awaken fully. Their blank wrists glow with new sigils, not given by the system, but by the echo within them. They are not alone anymore. They are a movement. Moon takes the role he never asked for, leader. Not because he's the strongest. Yuna can crush a building, and Seo can stop time, but because he is the symbol. The footage of him killing a cleaner circulates on underground channels. The guilds, blindsided by the revelation that the system they worship is a farm, fracture into factions. Some, like the idealists in the Small Dawn Brigade Guild, openly ally with the irregulars. Others, like Jaehyuk's Crimson Typhoon, double down, accepting system-granted power in exchange for hunting the anomalies. The war for the truth begins not with armies, but with a single battle in the heart of Seoul's Gangnam district on a rain-soaked Tuesday. A dimensional rift opens unexpectedly in the middle of Coex Mall, disgorging not monsters, but a high cleaner and a squadron of guild hunters loyal to Jaehyuk. Their target, a safe house where a dozen newly awakened irregulars have gathered, including a 12-year-old girl whose parents were taken by a rift a decade ago. Her irregular class, Dreamweaver, a psychic support that can trap enemies in nightmares. She's terrified. She's also the key to something bigger, though she doesn't know it yet. Moon and his team intercept the attack. The battle spills through the mall's shattered corridors, mannequins exploding, escalators collapsing, glass raining from the atrium. Jinsu flickers through Jaehyuk's hunters, appearing and disappearing so fast they fire on their own allies. Yuna creates a gravity field that pins half the cleaner's forces to the ceiling. Hannah's blade dances through the chaos, protecting the Dreamweaver girl, whose name is Era. But the High Cleaner is a different beast. It learns from the first cleaner's defeat. Its form is no longer humanoid, but a flowing river of black code lined with crimson eyes. It phases through physical attacks and strikes at the soul directly, causing irregulars to collapse with bleeding minds. Seo's time manipulation barely slows it, and Jaehyuk himself, floating above the battle on a platform of shadow, watches with a cold smile. He's linked to the cleaner now, through a system override, feeding it tactical data through a system override. Moon faces the High Cleaner alone. He catalogs his arsenal. Reaper Blade Dancer, permanent. Soul Reaper, 47. Flame Weaver, 19. Shadow Archer, 15. Shield Bearer, 8. Queen Weaver, 3. And the new Executioner Blade. He's been trying to level them in training, but there hasn't been enough time. He needs a breakthrough. The High Cleaner lunges. Moon dodges, not just with his body, but with his class switch mid-step. He activates Shadow Archer, firing a charged shot that phases through the cleaner with no effect. He curses, switches to Flame Weaver, blankets the area in fire. The cleaner absorbs the flames. It learns. It adapts. Moon's mind races. It's not just a fighter, it's a scanner. Every class he shows, it counters next time. So he stops showing it new classes. He closes his eyes and goes blank. His wrist empties, no class, just raw anomalous instinct, and he lets the cleaner come. It sweeps through his defenses, blade tendrils piercing his shoulder, his side, his leg. Pain explodes, but he doesn't block, he absorbs. And deep in the wound, his Reaper talent, the 5x multiplier on life drain, activates not on the cleaner's non-existent life, but on the residual echoes of the hunters who've been killed nearby. The mall is full of recent death. A rogue cleaner's rampage before Moon arrived left bodies. Life force surges into him. He feels it, raw and unrefined, and feeds it directly into his anomaly. A new window appears. Anomalous fusion available. Reaper Blade Dancer plus Soul, Reaper plus Executioner Blade plus Queen Weaver. Combine into hybrid class Dominion Reaper, why Nan? He doesn't hesitate. He visualizes every thread of his parents' echo, every scream from the rifts, every fragment of justice he's been promised. And he answers, yes. The fusion is agony and ecstasy. His brand explodes into a cascading design. Reaper, Dancer, Executioner, Weaver, all merging into a crown of thorns that wraps around his arm. Dominion Reaper. The class statement comes in fragments. Authority over life, death, and system code. Ability, absolute territory, in a fixed radius, override system rules. Passive, cleaner resistance. Active, thread sovereignty, command any entity with a system signature, including monsters. Including, perhaps, cleaners. He opens his eyes. The High Cleaner's crimson gaze meets his. And for the first time, the system executioner hesitates. Moon raises a hand. Threads of gold and black silk shoot out, not to bind, but to connect. They burrow into the High Cleaner's code. He senses its command kernel, and, astonishingly, a faint echo buried within. The remnant of a human who was recycled into the cleaner template. Not the entity's fault. Another victim. Release, Moon commands. The cleaner shudders. The crimson eyes flicker. For a heartbeat, it wavers, the black code softening into gray. Then the remote tether from Jaehyuk's platform surges, reasserting control. The High Cleaner screams a digital shriek and collapses into itself, detonating in a shockwave that shatters the mall's facade. Moon stands in the wreckage, his dominion active, a corona of thorns flickering around his silhouette. Jaehyuk, high above, pales. Impossible. Jaehyuk breathes into his calm. He overrode a High Cleaner. That's a 7th gate level authority. Then it's time to escalate, a voice replies in his earpiece. The Guildmaster of Crimson Typhoon. Recall to headquarters. We'll harness the system's core ourselves. If the Irregulars want a war, they'll get an extinction. Jaehyuk's platform retreats. The Guild Hunters vanish into portals. The battle is over, but the real war is just beginning. Moon drops to one knee, exhausted. The Dominion fades. Hana, Yuna, Jin, Su, and Seo rush to his side. Era, the Dreamweaver girl, stares at him with wide, tear-streaked eyes. You saved us, she says. I'm not done saving anyone, Moon replies. His voice is hoarse but unbroken. He looks at the scattered survivors. Hunters who witnessed the battle. Civilians who hid behind food court counters filming on their phones. The footage will spread. It will spark a revolution. But the system has an extinction protocol ready. And the first glitch is already moving. 3 days later, Moon stands on the roof of a condemned warehouse in the port district of Incheon, looking out at the Yellow Sea under a bruised sunset. The world has changed. News outlets can't decide if he's a terrorist or a messiah. The Guild Council meets in emergency session, torn between purging the anomalies and negotiating. Riots erupt in cities where Null communities hear that one of their own became a god killer. The system itself seems to shudder. Rifts open unpredictably. Monsters spawn without pattern, and hunters everywhere report a subtle lag in their interface windows, as if the code is stressing. He's not alone on the roof. Jinsu leans against a vent, juggling a void dagger. Yuna sits cross-legged, repairing a crushed communicator. Grandfather Seo meditates. Hannah stands beside Moon, arms folded. And Ara, the Dreamweaver, sits on an old crate, humming a song her mother used to sing before the rifts took her. They are a family now, a band of glitches. Moon's status window updates constantly. Dominion Reaper's comprehension is at 34%. He has 4 permanent class slots now, 2 filled. Reaper Blade Dancer fused into Dominion. The base still counts as permanent. Actually, the fusion merged several memories into a single hybrid. He can still access individual sub-moves, but the class slot now holds Dominion Reaper. He has gained a 2nd permanent slot for Dreamweaver after interacting with Era. He copied her class while saving her. Comprehension is climbing. The girl doesn't mind. She wants him to understand nightmares so he can stop the system that feeds on them. Comprehension for Dreamweaver is 41%. He'll need it for the mental battles ahead. The Irregular network has sent word. The 2nd Sanctuary Gate will appear on a volcanic island in the Philippines in 48 hours. It's a trap, obviously. The system wants to funnel them into a controlled environment where the first glitch can exterminate them. But it's also a shortcut. The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th sanctuaries are gateways to the Rift Core. If they don't take the bait, they'll lose months navigating dimensional eddies. They have to go. We need an army, Moon says. Not just us. Every awakened Irregular across the globe. And we need to train them in the 2 days we have. Yuna grunts. The transport network cannot handle thousands of unregistered nulls. The guilds will block it. Not if we use the rifts ourselves, Jin Su says. I can phase a small rift open long enough to tunnel through the dimensional web. It's risky. But if we link all underground safe houses simultaneously, we can pull everyone to a staging point near the island. Do it, Moon says. I'll draw the system's attention by going to Seoul Central and challenging Jae-hyuk publicly. While the world watches, you move the irregulars. Hana steps forward. That's a suicide play. Jae-hyuk has the full backing of Crimson Typhoon now. They've got S-rank hunters, cleaner fragments, and the system's blessing. You'll be walking into a fortress. That's why it'll work. Every camera will be on me. The system will commit its enforcers. And while it's distracted, you'll slip through. Era stands and tugs Moon's sleeve. I can help. I can put the whole city into a light sleep for 10 seconds. Not nightmares, just a calm dream. Enough to blind their observers. Moon kneels to her level. Are you sure you're ready for that? Her eyes are too old for a 12-year-old. I've been dreaming of revenge since I was 5. I'm ready. He nods.